You know his words will get you farther than the film will ever go. Give him a moment of your time, he'll tell you what's wrong with the show. He knows what's good, what's bad, what's really bad. His face is just a sign. Say hello to Confused Matthew.
It took a long time for this movie to make my list, and some of you may have wondered why that is. Well, it's actually kind of a funny story. See, I was walking down East Tabor Avenue one evening, and I ran into my old friend Manny, and we started reminiscing about Fairfield High, and, well, to make a long story short, I liked it. Hang on, don't start writing hate mail. See, this is one of the reasons I do the reviews I do. This is one of the points I'm trying to make here. Just because I liked the film does not mean the film was good. I did like Transformers, though a better term would probably be enjoyed, but in no universe can this be considered a good movie. The characters are piss awful. The screenplay is atrocious, and the humor is some of the worst I've seen in any film. I didn't laugh once here. In all the reviews I've done, I have never tried to convince anyone that they shouldn't like something. One of the most common responses I get from my reviews are, if I ever find out who you are and where you live, I will fucking kill you with my foot. But the second most common response is this: I agree with everything you said about the film, but I liked it anyway. There's no arguing with that point. Subjectively, no one can tell you that you shouldn't like something. All I'm doing is trying to demonstrate that whether you subjectively like the films or not, the films I review are objectively bad. And I have done this with some of the most sacred films that have ever been made. Transformers is as bad as any film I have ever reviewed. Why should I pass on demonstrating so just because it was a bad movie that I happen to like this time? So if you're one of these people who's watching this review and you find yourself saying, "Hey, I liked that movie," just remember, so did I. That doesn't change anything. So before we begin, let me just get it out of the way that I didn't watch Transformers growing up. I had a few of the toys, but Transformers the cartoon series was just never able to grab my attention. I was more of a Thundercats, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, My Little Pony kind of a kid. Wait, did I just say My Little Pony kind of a kid on mic? I meant Tiger Sharks! Tiger Sharks! So I have no idea if anything in this movie happened in the cartoon. All I know is that the premise for the movie seemed interesting, but, well, let's see what, if anything, they do with it. So we start out with Optimus Prime narrating about the past. A bunch of time ago, there was this thing called the Allspark that could create life, but another Transformer named Megatron used it to take over the world, or something. Anyway, the Allspark got lost, and both the Autobots and the Decepticons are now looking for it. After the narration, we have a scene with a big, hulking, badass robot attacking a military base. The scene, like the movie as a whole, is wicked awesome to watch, but never ends up amounting to much. After the attack, we then punt over to some kid selling things to his classmates. Wow, way to break the pace just 5 minutes in, guys. The kid is apparently selling all of his grandfather's stuff in order to gather enough money for his car, which explains why at the end of this very scene we learn that he already has enough money and just needs an A on a paper for his bother to buy half. Great writing, guys. In truth, the scene was just setting up plot points. His grandfather apparently got lost in the frozen north when falling through a sheet of ice. He was later rescued, but swore he saw some mechanical monster down there. The problem is, the scene makes no sense. First, it's a room full of kids that apparently don't like him much anyway. What makes him think any of them is gonna want this stuff in the first place? I mean, the character may be obnoxious, but he's not stupid. Second, if he already has enough money for the car, why is he using school time to try and sell anything, rather than focusing on getting a good grade? Again, obnoxious, but not stupid. The solution to both mysteries is, of course, bad writing, which is something you just have to get used to if you're going to try to sit through this film. Allow me to backtrack for a moment and elaborate on the obnoxious comment. The character Sam is obnoxious, but not Shia LaBeouf. I actually found him to be a good actor in other roles. The problem here is the casting. The character of Sam Witwicky, it seems to me, is supposed to be quirky. Shia, unfortunately, just has a tendency to overplay the role. When I saw what they were trying to do with this character, the first name that came to my mind was Michael Cera. He has quirky down to a science, while at the same time not crossing over into obnoxious territory. Again, it's not Shia's problem, he's just playing the role he was hired to play. The problem is with the people that casted him in the first place. So Sam and his dad are off to buy him a car. They arrived at a used car lot run by the late Bernie Mac. In this scene is one of the film's first real attempts at humor, and yeah, how not funny this is something else you just have to get used to. All the jokes are literally this not funny.
Son, I'm a lot of things. A lie's not one of them. Especially not in front of my mammy. That's my mammy. Hey, mammy! Oh, don't be like that. If I had a rock, I'll bust your head, bitch. Say, man, she deaf, you know?
Okay, why is that supposed to be funny? That isn't a rhetorical question. I'm serious about that. What's the joke here? Is it supposed to be funny because it's an old woman flipping him off? Why did she flip him off? Is there a reason? What's the joke? That's not funny! So they all peruse through a series of used cars until they come across Herbie the Love Bug. Oh no, I'm sorry. It's actually... well, no, it's pretty much Herbie the Love Bug. The car dealer doesn't seem to know where the car came from or how it got there. Neither do we, for that matter, nor do we find out. So he gets them out of the car to show them another one. But Herbie seems to want to go with the kid. Why he wants that is also a mystery, and yet another one that we'll never know the answer to. So he breaks all the other cars, leaving Sam no choice but to buy him. So now that he has his car, Sam goes to the park to try and mingle with more people that don't like him. Why, again, is never explained. He arrives, has hate thrown at him from everyone there, and then leaves. Okay. Anyway, so then the big jock and his girlfriend have a moment with one another. The girlfriend here will later turn into a main character in the film. But good luck finding anything besides the writer's liberal use of her body to get you invested in this character. This is the girl's introduction scene, and it was simply one of the worst ways of introducing a character that I've ever seen in my life. In this one short scene, with the 8 few words that come out of her mouth, the writers forever close any hope we ever had of liking this character.
Hey, how about you let me drive?
Oh, no. This is not a toy. These 22s, I don't want you grinding them. No. Why doesn't my little bunny just hop in the back seat?
Oh, God, I can't even tell you how much I'm not your little bunny.
Well, I guess that explains why you were hanging all over him 3 seconds earlier. Now, if the boyfriend had said something like, "Hey, Jiggles, get your hot ass in the car. Don't talk while you're doing it, just put this on and shake," then yeah, that would have justified her storming off in a huff. He called her a bunny, and suddenly they're done? Sure, it may have been a little condescending, but it wasn't insulting. He didn't start squeezing her boobs and licking her face and then laughing and giggling about it with all his stupid jock friends. He called her a little bunny. To make a long story short, this guy, ape-like though he may be, did nothing wrong, and she pissed all over him and left for no reason.
I can't believe that I'm here right now.
You can duck down if you want. I mean, it won't hurt my feelings.
No. I didn't mean here with you. I just meant here, like, in this situation.
Oh.
This same situation that I'm always in, because I don't know, I guess I just have a weakness for hot guys, for tight abs and really big arms.
Oh, poor you. Finding yourself getting together with terrible guys who call you a bunny. So let me get this straight. You knew what kind of guy this was. You got together with him anyway, and then you leave him at the drop of a hat for doing what you got together with him for. Not 5 seconds into the film, and Megan Fox's character has already been established as the leading asshole in the state. Now, just like Shia LaBeouf, this is not Megan Fox's fault. Again, she's playing the role she was hired to play. Unfortunately, this means doing little more than letting the film sexualize her in every single scene. Aside from being sprawled out on something in every other scene, Fox has no role here to play at all. I can't even remember her character's name, to be honest. This was the film that propelled Megan Fox to the status of sex symbol. Now, whether or not that's warranted is really not my place to say. That's for the masses to work out for themselves. I personally don't think Fox is bad looking. She is what Hollywood typically portrays as the norm of sexy, but she's nothing outstanding in my humble opinion. What I do think is a shame is that her looks is all anyone is going to remember for her in this role, and it may lead to other roles that amount to nothing more than her posing for the camera. For her own sake, I wish they would have given her a part that would have made someone notice her acting ability rather than her looks. So after storming away from the poor schlub, she gets picked up by Sam. The two share some witless, brain-dead, stock dialogue before Herbie the Love Bug makes himself stall out. Sam is worried that it looks too much like a ruse to get with the girl, but the girl just has him pop the hood.
My dad, he was a real grease monkey. He taught me all about this. I could take it all apart, clean it, put it back together.
Now, why would you guess that they're establishing that this girl can fix any car? Probably because this ability is going to be used later in the film, right? Well, you'd be wrong. About the most this character does in the way of working on cars is that she hotwires a truck later on. Now, granted, you do have to be somewhat car savvy to be able to do that, but you certainly don't need to be able to take a car apart and put it back together again. It isn't really bad so much as wasteful and odd, but this established character ability has no useful purpose at all, and boy howdy, get used to that. So after fixing the car, the girl goes away, but Herbie the Love Bug still insists on trying to get these two together, and why, once again, is never explained. Now, I know that I've been calling this thing Herbie a lot in this review, but that's not even that far away from the truth here. You could actually replace this car with Herbie, and this would work just as well as a Love Bug movie than anything else this film is trying to be. We're a good ways into the film now. Where the hell are the Transformers? Welcome to part 2. So after Herbie the Love Bug's attempt to get two total strangers that he doesn't know together, he then sets his sights on a new task. Unfortunately, this means essentially stealing himself. Sam sees his car peeling out of the driveway and chases after it, but later realizes that the car is pretty much driving itself. He calls the police, but for no reason, they draw guns on him and take him to the station.
What was that? You eyeball my piece, 50 Cent? Oh, you wanna go? Make something happen, do it. Cause I promise you, I will bust you up. Are you on drugs?
Okay, why is that supposed to be funny? Again, I'm not being sarcastic, I'm being serious. What's wrong with this guy? Is he supposed to be retarded? Why did he call him 50 Cent? Does he think he's a rapper? Is that why he called him 50 Cent? What's the joke? That's not funny! So I should probably mention that while all this is going on, a few other Transformers have been hacking a bunch of high-level computer systems and attacking military bases. And for the love of God, I still can't figure out why. A small little robot sneaks aboard Air Force One and hacks the computer, but all it reports when it's done is that the glasses that Sam was selling are for sale on eBay. So why did he have to hack a high-level system to get that information? He could have just as easily gotten the same information by doing a Google search on a laptop at Starbucks. So why are they attacking military bases again? Anyway, all these attacks and high-level hacking is making the Secretary of Defense nervous, so he turns to the experts for help. Oh, did I say experts? Oh, I'm sorry. I meant high school kids, 'cause that makes sense. One of the little girls finds an embedded code, but she's not good enough to analyze it, so she takes it to who she refers to as the one and only person good enough to do it.
Shut up, Grandma! Get off my grandmama's carpet! She don't like nobody on the carpet, especially police!
Okay, creeping into slightly sensitive territory here. This is actually one of the things that bother a lot of people about Michael Bay's films. In fact, the director has been labeled somewhat of a racist because of this kind of thing. Personally, I don't think Michael Bay is a racist per se, but he seems to have no problem using racial stereotypes and caricatures for the audience's entertainment. Now, maybe that's not as bad as being blatantly hateful towards other ethnicities, but it's definitely not a good thing, nor is it very responsible. So with that said, let's backtrack a moment to the character's introduction. This is the exact line that was used just before his character was introduced.
There's only one hacker in the world who can break this code.
Now, why would you guess that this character is being established as a computer hacking genius? Probably because this ability is going to be used later in the film, right? Well, once again, you'd be wrong. About the most this character does in the way of working on computers is that he rigs a few to transmit Morse code later on. Now, once again, you do have to be somewhat computer savvy to be able to do that, but you certainly don't need to be the only person in the world who can crack an uncrackable code. This is the second time they've given someone an elaborate character trait for absolutely no reason at all. I mean, why don't they just establish that Sam is the strongest kid alive and then have him do nothing but bend a spoon? So anyway, the kid looks at the code for a few seconds, but the two get arrested. Meanwhile, Sam's car decides to steal itself again, and this leads into another chase. Only this time, Sam gets approached by one of the bad Transformers. And by bad, I mean badass.
It's a bad dream.
Are you username LadiesMan217?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Are you username LadiesMan217?
Yeah?
Where is the eBay item 21153? Where are the bosses?
Eventually the girl shows up and the two are pursued, only to be rescued by Herbie, who finally reveals himself as a giant robot.
I think I want something from you.
What?
Well, because the other one was talking about my eBay page.
You were the strangest boy I have ever met.
What do you mean he's the strangest boy you've ever met? There's a 5-story robot right in front of you! I'm sorry, I shouldn't get that upset. I mean, if my girlfriend and I were walking down the street and were suddenly approached by the monster from Cloverfield, the first thing I'd say would be, you know something, dear? You're really short. So the two get taken to an alleyway, and is that what I think it is? Oh my god, it is! Transformers! There are actually Transformers in this movie! Sure took them long enough. But in all honesty, this is where the movie started to make me like it. Before now, there was just too much emphasis on the awful characters and humor, and sadly that does persist right to the end of the film. But from this point on, the human characters get scaled back significantly. From this point on, we start seeing the Transformers on screen more and more, and we see the humans less and less. Now, the Transformers are not exactly good characters. In fact, they aren't that much better than the humans, to be honest. No, the thing that made me like this movie, I must confess, was really just the effects. I think they may be the best special effects I've ever seen in a film. And it's not just that the Transformers look good either, though that is the case. It's also the way they interact with their environment. If you've got a film where a special effect is plowing through something, like a car, for example, obviously the way it's done is that a pyro guy blows up the car, and they superimpose a special effect over it later. Unfortunately, that can only look so real. In those cases, it looks like the car is being moved by force, but that force doesn't always match up with the special effect that's added. But whenever one of the robots smashes through a building or topples a few cars, nothing looks out of place here. It looks like these things are being hit, not just with force, but by something with mass as well. Everything looks the way it should, and unlike George Lucas's attempts to saturate a film with effects, it doesn't take that much suspension of disbelief to believe that the Transformers are really there. Sadly, I must confess that as the film went on, the effects did more than just impress me. They downright thrilled me. Having said that though, all the special effects in the world don't mean anything if the characters in the screenplay can't back them up. And that's why this film is one that I liked, but not one that was good. My liking for this film is about on the level of watching a fireworks demonstration or a laser light show. So now the Transformers are finally here. They all introduce themselves, and then Optimus Prime explains to Sam and the girl what's going on. And this entire explanation is one of the biggest gaping plot holes I've ever seen in my life.
Megatron crash-landed before he could retrieve the cube.
Men, we've made a discovery!
He accidentally activated his navigation system. The coordinates to the cube's location on Earth were imprinted on his glasses.
How the fuck do you know? Honestly, how could Optimus Prime possibly know all that? He wasn't there. He didn't see Witwicky activate the navigation system, or see the navigational charts specifically hit his glasses, and Witwicky certainly didn't know what he activated, so where is all this ultra-specific information coming from? And if the Transformers knew that this all took place, why are they just now getting around to getting the glasses? God, can someone just take 5 minutes and write this thing, please? So meanwhile, the other nameless girl and her racially caricatured friend are being held by the police.
You want that piece? Okay, Maggie, look. Let me break it down to you how it's gonna happen. They're gonna come through that door and be good cop, bad cop. Don't fall for that, all right? That's why I ate their food. So they put the plate of donuts out here to test your guilt. If you don't touch it, you're guilty. I ate the whole plate. The whole plate. Okay? It's me and you. They walk through that door, you don't say nothing.
He's telling her to be cool and not to say anything. Wonder what's gonna happen when the police come in.
She did it! She did it! She's the one you want!
Oh, he panicked and said something. Ha 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 ha. Fuck you. Welcome to part 3. So Sam, Girl, and the Transformers all go back to his house to retrieve the glasses. Unfortunately, both his parents are home, which means the Transformers have to do their best at hiding in the backyard. This is a fun scene to watch most of the time. Unfortunately, the people writing this just can't leave well enough alone. It would have been fine if they had done this from just the perspective of the Transformers trying to hide, but they have to get the human characters in on this scene too. This amounts to a scene that is both fun and very irritating to watch. As far as the human scenes go, it doesn't even feel like the writers wrote anything that day. It's like they just said, okay, we're gonna take a few days off, so we'll leave the camera on and you guys just do whatever you want. This results in a few scenes and lines of dialogue that are not only painful, but don't make much comedic or coherent sense.
Earthquake! Earthquake! Judy! Judy, get under the table! Move it! Duck and cover right now!
How did you get over there so fast?
What? So the parents go upstairs with a baseball bat because I guess the writers just forgot that they're supposed to be under the impression that there was a power outage and not intruders in the house, and they confront Sam on his odd behavior.
Oh, for Pete's sakes, you are so defensive. Were you masturbating?
Judy.
Was I No, Mom.
Zip it, okay?
It's
No, I don't
okay.
masturbate.
That's not something for you to
It's
bring up. That's a
okay.
father and son thing.
I mean, you
okay?
don't have to call it that word. If that makes you uncomfortable, you can call it...
What? What could he call it? Come on, impress me. What are you gonna make the mom say? Sam's 5-finger massage, Sam's whack-off, Sam's variety hour?
Sam's happy time.
Oh, fuck you. Then, completely out of the blue, a secret government agency comes into Sam's house and starts interrogating the family. This organization is known as Sector 7, and the head guy that comes to the house apparently, based on what I get from this scene, has mental retardation.
Drop the bat, ma'am. I'm carrying a loaded weapon.
But you better get those guys out of my garden or I am going to beat the crap out of them.
Have you experienced any flu-like symptoms?
I'm going to call the cops because there's something fishy going on around here.
There's something a little fishy about you, your son, your little Taco Bell dog, and this whole operation you got going on here.
What operation?
That is what we are going to find out.
Okay, why is that supposed to be funny? Guys, the Taco Bell dog was discontinued 10 years ago. Yeah, people probably know what it is, but what relevance does this reference have? Why did he ask if they were experiencing any flu symptoms when they were on a completely different topic? Is he supposed to be retarded? What's the joke? That's not funny! Now, I know I used the whole "is he supposed to be retarded" line a lot in jest, but I'm not kidding about that this time. I honestly thought the writers were making the point that his character was supposed to be, well, maybe not retarded, but I thought maybe he had escaped from a mental institution or something. I honestly and truly expected a person of authority to come in at any moment and say, sorry, there really is no Sector 7. He gets out sometimes. We don't know how, but we try to keep him locked up. So the lunatic gets the two kids in the car, and once again, we're given a character trait that never comes up again in any relevant way.
You know those cars my dad used to teach me to fix? Well, they weren't always his.
You stole cars?
Well, we couldn't always afford a babysitter, so sometimes he had to take me along.
She's got her own juvie record to prove it. She's a criminal. Criminals are hot.
Did he just say and do what I think he just said and did?
Criminals are hot. Criminals are hot. Criminals are hot.
Guys, that's a 30-something man looking a high school student up and down and saying she's hot. What the hell were you trying to do with that? Was that even supposed to be a joke? So the sicko pedophile lunatic gets stopped by the Transformers. They screw with this guy for a while, but then both the kids get captured once again, along with Herbie. Herbie is taken to a bunker, but for no reason, the kids get taken to the Hoover Dam, where a bunch of high-level agents who don't know or need them tell them everything that's going on. Turns out that they've had Megatron frozen here for years, and that all of our technologies were reverse-engineered from him. Which explains why we started out with transistors. They also have a Allspark locked up here, and we're all aware of its life-giving capabilities.
Mean little sucker, huh?
That thing is freaky!
Kind of like the itty-bitty Energizer bunny from hell, huh?
Yeah, that thing's just like the Energizer Bunny.
Excuse me, are you the Tooth Fairy?
Yeah, that thing's just like the Tooth Fairy. Anyone trying to quit drinking just needs to not watch this movie. So Sam then moans about getting his car back. The authorities are reluctant to release him, of course, but for absolutely no reason, one of the soldiers, who has never been in the same room with Sam and has thus far been fighting against robots like Herbie, draws a gun on the lunatic and demands that Sam be taken to his car. You know, it's just exhausting talking about this movie. Herbie is released, and he makes the Allspark really, really small. Then all the power goes down, and Megatron gets unfrozen. I wonder what he's gonna say after all this time. I'll bet it's something perfectly reasonable like, "Where the hell am I?" or "Fuck me, that was cold." Thanks? So now the Decepticons are ready to attack and steal the cube, so the humans come up with a plan.
We stay here, we're screwed with Megatron in the other hangar. Mission City is 22 miles away. We're gonna sneak that cube out of here, and we're gonna hide it somewhere in the city.
That's your plan? To take an object that a bunch of armed-to-the-teeth robots are gung-ho after into the city? The fully populated city? This could not have been a dumber plan if they had said, hey, let's take this object the Decepticons are after and hide it in the city. Yeah, it's so retarded, I can't even think of anything sarcastic to say that's dumber than that. So they take the Allspark into the city, and what do you know? A bunch of people get killed and hurt. Then the humans come up with another plan.
There, so here, take this flare. Okay, there's a tall white building with statues on top. Go to the roof. Set the flare. No. Signal the chopper and set the flare. I can't do this. Listen to me, you're a soldier now. All right, I need you to take this cube, get it into military hands while we hold them off. There are a lot of people are gonna die.
Okay, first of all, if you were just gonna transport the Allspark somewhere else anyway, why did you bring it into the city in the first place? Second, if the Autobots can barely protect this thing, how much better off is it gonna be in a helicopter? I mean, all the Decepticons really need to do is shoot the thing down.
Watch out! Get go!
Told you. So they fight. Then finally, Sam puts the Allspark into Megatron's chest and apparently kills him. Everything is now fine, and the Transformers stay on Earth for no reason. The movie was terrible. There was no plot, and the characters were either awful or had mental problems. The only thing that can be said for it are the effects, and as I said before, all the effects in the world cannot make this movie good. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe the premise for this film wasn't interesting. Maybe the premise was in fact its downfall. You can only do so much with a movie about giant robots in the first place. Yeah, making this a comedy didn't work at all, but if this film had been more serious, I probably would have had a problem with that too. After all, how serious can you really take giant robots? I'm not really sure what a movie about giant robots could have been other than this, but having said that, it did not have to be this bad, all over the place, and not funny. Don't really know what else to say about this one other than the end.